You have spoken at a couple of conferences, and I know certainly on LinkedIn recently about a lot of the recent NASDAQ rule changes. Can you give us a high level overview of what those changes are and how
Yeah,
they either impact the company that is already public or a company that's thinking about
yeah.
going public?
Sure. So you mentioned pump and dump. I think the new term, at least according to Bloomberg or one of the Dow Jones, is ramp and dump. I think that's
Okay,
the new term
okay.
that
I have
I've
not
read
heard that
I've
one.
read recently. Ramp and dump.
Okay.
Well, it's a good point because this is why Nasdaq, or what's led Nasdaq, a primary catalyst to them sort of revamping the listing process, and it was necessary. I fully support that. I think Nasdaq has done a pretty good job in trying to balance elevating the industry and protecting the markets and providing access to capital. Now, how they play that out over time and implement that is yet to be seen because it is still a little clunky. It's a little awkward, and it'll get better over time. But really, what happened was in 2025, as you know, um, NASDAQ really changed their rules right in January of last year, 2025. And they said, look, you have to raise $15 million now unless you have net income for an IPO. The whole market went crazy and said, oh my gosh, there's never going to be another deal. But there were a lot of deals,
Right.
and there were a lot of foreign deals who took advantage of that net income exception. And there was a lot of volatility in those deals from overseas. And then NASDAQ came back middle of last year and said, you know what? It's going to be 15 million for everyone. We don't care if you have net income because a lot of times the overseas companies had net income and they were taking advantage of much smaller raises, 4 million, 6 million, 8 million. And those capital raises, they were smaller, tighter, and more volatile. And if you bring into the picture your point about social media and ramp and dump and bots overseas, you can see how these stocks can be very
Right.
volatile. So NASDAQ had to do something. So that all culminated in December of 2025 when they, out of the blue, literally out of the blue, on day one, implemented the new 5101-3 discretionary rules. So now they're going to look at your company, where you're located, your directors, basically give you a super background check, right? Diligence on the company. And their system has gone from a mainly rules-based system to now a discretionary-based system. So they can deny your listing even if you meet all the other criteria. So they can deny it for any reason or no reason at all, based on how they feel your company is ready or going to perform, or if there are certain things they just don't like or see based on their data analytics. So that's a little bit of the evolution for 2025. And really, that has changed the way we fundamentally do deals because now you have to be so much more proactive. You have to start the process earlier. You have to really have that competitive stamina to mix it up early, get information from the exchanges because they're not always forthcoming. They're working out their own rules. They're busy. They don't care about my
Right.
deal, your deal, right? So you have to be able to be persistent to get that information. But the whole process is radically different. I believe it was a necessary upgrade. Not thrilled about some of the things, but I do think eventually this will elevate the entire ecosystem, and the data really proves that out.